Update. My husband got jealous over the girl he led on for years at our wedding. Original post. I, 25 female, got married to my husband, 24 male, we'll call him Jim, a week ago after dating for 2.5 years. Jim has a friend called Misha, 22 female, who was invited to the wedding. He and Misha have known each other since high school and were close friends, and Misha had a very obvious crush on Jim from what he and others who know them have told me. Jim told me this after I met Misha for the first time and confessed that he leaned into her crush and led her on throughout their high school years and for a little while after before we got together because he was struggling with his mental health and he really liked her attention. He seemed genuinely guilty about all of that because he thought Misha was a nice girl and a good friend. And because he showed guilt, I didn't feel the need to bring it up or argue about it despite thinking it was a horrible thing to do. Plus, Misha is a nice girl who has never overstepped boundaries and has been nothing but kind and friendly towards me, and I now consider her a friend too. Misha moved away to the city last year and has done really well for herself and has a long-term boyfriend who none of us have met yet. So, when it came to sending wedding invites, I told her she was welcome to bring him as her +1. The first red flag came when Jim was weirdly resistant to the idea of Misha bringing her boyfriend. But he excused it on being concerned about the number of guests we invited, and the matter was dropped. When the wedding day came, Misha showed up in this beautiful dress. Nothing inappropriate for a wedding, and with her boyfriend on her arm, who I'll admit is a very handsome guy. Think a Kit Harington type. She's also lost weight and has a haircut that suits her better, and I thought she looked great. We also found out throughout the night that her boyfriend is very successful and earns more than practically anyone else who attended. Throughout the reception, I noticed Jim glaring at Misha and her boyfriend the whole time, and he was really cold and short towards her when she came over to congratulate us and give us a gift. He was also straight up kinda rude to her boyfriend when Misha introduced us to him. When his mom, who's always known and liked Misha, mentioned that she was glad Misha found a great guy and praised her boyfriend for being so nice, Jim snapped that at least she won't be desperate and hung up on me for the rest of her life, which I thought was cruel and uncalled for. But I didn't challenge him because I didn't want to argue at my wedding despite the fact that he frankly sounded bitter. The whole thing has left an awful taste in my mouth, and I can't help but think that Jim got jealous that Misha has found a guy who's honestly quite a catch, who she's clearly very in love with, and is now completely over Jim. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. It's giving bitter. Can't imagine how that must have been for you. Says a lot about his character, to be honest. It felt a lot like watching a kid get upset at another kid for playing with a toy they personally never wanted to play with in the first place, if that makes any sense. I get it. But I mean, apart from this, have you never had an indication of what a crappy guy he is? I mean, character matters, and he lacks a lot of it. Can't imagine it being so unsettling and such a turn-off. He's definitely always been quite insecure, but I thought it was something he was really working on and making progress with. Annulment/divorce is a choice you can't back out of, so take a moment to consider it. That is, unless you have other reservations about him that you haven't shared with us here, because no one here knows your life aside from this post. I think the best next steps would be to sit down and tell him how you feel and how his attitude really dampened the wedding. That he took a day that was meant to be about your combined future and focused in on his past. A past that he apparently didn't care about until someone else showed interest. Hopefully it was a moment of weakness. A moment where he hadn't realized he had fallen into old habits, and he apologizes to you and does what he can to make up for how badly he killed the mood at the wedding. And with a wish and a prayer, maybe then takes the time to call up the girl, who was supposed to be his friend, and apologize to her too, but that's just wishful thinking. Either way, if he doesn't show any remorse or humility for how he acted, then I'd say annulment is back on the menu. I think I would have to take a step back from hubby and see if there were any other red flags I've missed. He was jealous of this woman and her boyfriend on your wedding day. I cannot imagine how much this hurt you. I am so sorry. How he admitted to treating that girl was the red flag. I hope he entirely overlooked it basically. He was okay using someone to meet his own needs and feed his ego for years. How exactly did Opie think that makes for a good husband material? But that's the other problem. Way too young in my opinion to be getting married anyway. Let's not mention the fact that seems Opie is in this exact situation now. Seems like she was a placeholder until girl came back to her senses for Jim. If your husband couldn't enjoy his wedding day, I fear for your future. His only reason to snap is jealousy, but you should be swirled. Opie needs to get a divorce now, before things get even more out of hand with more unexpected craziness. Annulment should be considered ASAP. Get this all out on the table, Opie, to see if you still want to be married to him. Now for the mini update. After getting some PMs from people, I decided to go through his phone while he was napping after work. And needless to say, this marriage is over. I'll post a real update when I have sorted everything out. Now for the full update. Hey everyone, I'm posting this here because I said in my last post that I would update when I was able to. Pretty much the day after my original post, I got some PMs from people suggesting that I go through my husband Jim's phone to see if he and Misha were truly just friends before this, and that nothing romantic happened between them that would explain his reaction at the wedding. He always takes a 45-minute nap after work, and so I used that as my opportunity to swipe his phone from where it was charging on his desk so that I could look through it. I've seen him put in his passcode a ton of times, so that wasn't an issue. I didn't find anything in his texts with her, but I know that Jim goes on Instagram a lot, so I checked there too. The immediate red flag was that he'd used an app lock that required a passcode to access Instagram, but the dumbass used the same passcode that he uses to unlock his phone, so I got into that right away. It's his birth year, go figure. And what would you know? I go to his messages with Misha and find messages from him the morning after our wedding, telling her how beautiful she'd looked that night, how much he'd missed her, how he felt that her boyfriend being there spoiled his opportunity to catch up with her, and that he was desperate to meet up with her. Misha never replied to these messages, and he sent some more to her later that day. I won't get into what he said because they were very personal insults that were frankly just gross, but just think about the kind of stuff you would read on that nice guy subreddit. Misha left him on read, and when I clicked on her account, it appears that she's blocked him. I scrolled through their messages quite far back, and I believe nothing romantic has happened between them. I wish that was all, but looking into his other conversations on Instagram, I found that he's been messaging other girls on there. They seemed like aspiring Instagram model types from our area. Most of these conversations were just him shooting a shot and getting left on read, but others had evolved into flirting, and 2 of them resulted in nexting. And the most embarrassing part of all, the news he was sending to these women weren't even of him. I know what his body looks like, and he doesn't have chiseled abs and isn't that well endowed. I think I must have found a man's profile on some adult website and used those pictures, just cropping the face out. These 2 conversations happened in the past 6 months. I ended up texting his mom and his brother from my phone, asking them to come and pick him up from the apartment, and then I went to wake him up. I told him that I knew about a girl he was messaging on Instagram, that he needed to pack a bag and get the hell out before I started throwing his stuff out on the street and causing a scene. He started crying and begging me not to kick him out, and swore that they were just messages, and that he would never actually cheat on me. But I don't believe him for a second. Then he had the nerve to tell me that he didn't want me to tell anyone else about what he'd done, but I had left the room and started ignoring him by that point. He left with his mom and brother and is staying there from what I know. I've blocked him on everything for the time being until I'm ready to tell him that I'm seeking annulment. Thankfully, from where I'm from, you can get one almost no questions asked, as long as you haven't been married for longer than 30 days, and I've already looked into the process. I haven't really left my apartment at all this week, and I've been calling in sick to work because I don't feel like I can face people. I'm just so embarrassed that I've wasted over 2 years on this man, and that I married him in the first place. I don't feel like I can talk to people about this, so posting here has helped, and I'd like to thank you all for your kind words, advice, and support. I might reach out to Misha when the dust has settled, but I think I'll need to build up some courage for that. How to ruin your life, because you can't hide the fact you are lusting after another woman at your actual wedding. I wonder if he was lusting, or if it was just an ego thing. I've known people in that situation who string someone along who has a crush on them. They like the ego boost. And when that person moves on, it stings them. Ego thing for sure. Had an ex like this myself. And boy, are they ugly on the inside. And sometimes on the outside when the rose-colored glasses come off. It's cathartic watching them implode a little when they learn you have self-esteem now. Oh yes, me too. He put me down and was cruel and dismissive for 3 years, but always gave just enough to make sure I was still interested. All because he liked the attention. I was very emotionally messed up and an easy target. Then, He finally introduced me to his best friend, who he also put down a lot. Friend and I got along great. When he noticed we were having a lively conversation without him, he started sitting really close to me and putting his arm around my shoulder, to which I did not respond. Friend and I went out to fancy dinner together 2 nights later and talked up a storm. Horrid ex found out. Within a week I was ghosted without warning or explanation by both of them. I haven't seen either one in a year, and that's what it took to break the chain. Time and distance. Good for Misha for extricating herself from that toxic jerk. The only bright side is, she didn't waste any more of her life on this lying loser and realized what was up immediately after the wedding. Yes, plus she was nice with Misha at the wedding and didn't blame others for her guy's horrible behavior. A lot of people would have felt insecure and lashed out at Misha instead of the guy. She was smart enough to put the blame on the person who deserved it and was able to get away right away instead of wasting years on this guy. So many people try to blame the person their partner cheated with, or in this case, tried to cheat with, and got shut down. Then they stay with a cheater and keep blaming other people as if that will salvage the relationship. Far better to focus your upset feelings on the jackass who caused them and to get them out of your life and move on. Last story. Update. I found out that my husband tried to convince his old girlfriend to run off with him before her wedding. Original post. So that has happened. The best part is, we're on holiday with 3 other couples in a foreign country. My sister sent me money so I could get my own room here. I looked at changing my flight, but it's so expensive, and we aren't scheduled to leave for 4 days yet. Last year, my husband and some of his friends had a lads' weekend in London. In reality, he had gone up to Liverpool because he heard his old girlfriend from university was getting married and went to convince her to run off with him. She sent him on his way. I only found out because 2 of his mates and one of their wives who are on holiday with us talked about it after we'd all been drinking. My husband didn't deny it. He says it was a stupid decision he made on a whim, and besides that, he hasn't seen or talked to her in 12 years and has never been unfaithful. But he didn't deny that he asked her to run off with him and ask his mates to lie for him. At least the beach here is beautiful, and the resort has alcohol. I'm just wanting a good cry here. I have called my sister, but I don't want to run up my mobile bill. I can't stay with him. Not after that. I'm on here to spill my feelings everywhere. I've already cried on the beach. Now for the top advice before reading the update. How long have you been married? We have been married for 7 years. Oh yeah, I tried to run off with her, but the only reason I'm with you is because she turned me away. But I haven't done anything since then, so it's okay. It hurts now, but in time you'll see it's the best decision you ever made. Be with someone that chooses you always. You're not a consolation prize he gets because the ex didn't want him. And all my friends knew, and I got them to cover for me and then let you holiday with them. So really, it's not that bad, and on par with me forgetting to buy the milk. All in all, we're a great bunch of people. If he hasn't cheated yet, it's only because he hasn't been afforded the opportunity. I'm so sorry this happened to you. The absolute gall he and his friends have is unreal. You are absolutely right in that you can't stay with him. He betrayed your trust and marriage, in probably the worst way imaginable, and just came back as if nothing happened. The man is looking for outs to the marriage himself. You might as well show him the easiest one, the door. But remember to take as much off him on his way out. Record all interactions, start getting bank statements together, get that information about him absconding to Liverpool to run away with an old flame in writing via text messages, etc. Outside of it being good during a divorce settlement, it will generally make it easier for the court to come to a determination that the marriage is irreconcilable. In Wales, divorce is strictly no fault. There are no longer grounds for divorce or the need to prove bad behavior, and whatever the husband or wife did has no bearing on the settlement. I used to work in a law firm as an assistant until I switched jobs this year. Wow, what a crappy husband. An equally crappy friend group. For real. I mean, it sucks being OP right now, but also, imagine being the friends' wives? Knowing your husband was okay with his friend doing that crap would make me seriously question who I married. The wives knew about it when he did, and none of them told me. All 3 couples who knew traveled with us knew, and he has other mates back home. He told them what he was really doing and that the lads' weekend in London was a lie. Not all of them told me after we were drinking, but they all knew. I hope you're okay. I can't imagine what you're feeling right now. Such a terrible thing to do, and for the friends that never told you, Has he even tried to find you to explain? I'm avoiding all of them and told them to leave me alone. If he has tried, he hasn't found me yet. Now for the update. It's not very exciting, but I was getting people asking. Our flights ended up being delayed because of the storm that came to Florida. When we did get to fly home, I wasn't sitting with my husband or any of them. My sister picked me up from the airport and I am staying with her for the time being. My husband has tried to explain, but I don't want to hear it. It's my intention to get a divorce. Here in Wales, divorce is no fault, and anything he did won't have any effect on it. Both of us have jobs. We didn't have kids yet. Our flat isn't owned by either of us. The process has started, but it won't be drawn out. I also had some of the people who knew what he did apologize to me for hiding it, but it feels like too little too late to me. Did you share a room the rest of the trip? What happened? I got my own room in another part of the hotel after this happened. He wanted me to stay in our room, but I just couldn't. Does he know you want to divorce now? Yes, he does. I have started the process and both of us have solicitors now. Best wishes. You deserve not to be a placeholder or fallback plan in your relationship. Sorry your circle of friends with him sucks too. May you move on and find your happiness.